Hi, I'm Cam Caldwell, and I'm thrilled to introduce you to an amazing new technology from Socrata. We call it the Socrata API Foundry. We invented API Foundry to enable our customers to take their digital strategy to a whole new level. The complete enablement of an internet-scale data ecosystem with end-to-end capabilities to mass-produce open, standards-based, developer-ready APIs. Let's take a look at how this game-changing product enables a business analyst, that's right, a business analyst, to create, customize, and deploy a fully documented open API in just minutes. For this demo, we're going to use a real Excel file on the FDA's website to illustrate just how easy this is. This file has recall data about egg-based products. The first step in creating an API with this file is to import it into Socrata using our direct-to-cloud import. Look at how easy this is. Copy and paste the URL, and voila, we have a live open data set that we can use for our new API. As a business analyst, I can quickly customize the metadata for this open data set, make it public, and publish it. Let's create some APIs. Welcome to the Socrata API Foundry, a great API modeling and management environment for creating, customizing, and deploying developer-ready APIs. You'll see shortly what we mean when we say developer-ready. Very cool stuff. Using this intuitive wizard, which abstracts all the complexity into a very few simple steps, I can pick a location for my new API, essentially a URL, then choose a unique identifier if it's appropriate for my data. The step after that is to add a description about my API. And as we're doing this, we're also creating parts of the documentation for developers who will use my new API. At this point, I get to step through the columns in my dataset and customize the output that I want. Why is this important? Two reasons: control and flexibility. Perhaps I want to enable multiple endpoints for developers, each with a slightly different schema. For example, imagine we have a standardized output that we agreed to adopt with other agencies, and a different API output for a special mobile app project. At every step, as a business analyst, I have full control, while API Foundry maintains that end-to-end simplicity. I'm eager to launch my new API, so I'll accept the defaults and skip forward. Now I'm ready to deploy this. It's exciting to know that with one click, this API will become available to developers who can start querying it right away. All right, my API is live. Now, remember that developer-ready bit we talked about earlier? Let's see what that looks like from a developer's perspective. Here is the /developer page that was automatically created for my new API. Yes, not only did we add an entry to the API catalog, but Socrata API Foundry automatically created a whole bunch of developer documentation and resources about my new API. Wow. Let me switch roles for a minute here and pretend I'm a developer now. Let's check and see what I can do. Great information on how to get started with this egg recall API. We can see what kind of requests I can make, how to sign up for an application token so whoever created this API can keep track and manage API usage, what kind of response codes I might get if there's an error somewhere. This is fantastic. Dynamically generated code samples for popular programming languages that I can paste into my editor and start coding immediately with this API. Nice. Below that, I also see details about all the data that's available via the API. Each field also contains live testing links. Cool. I can experiment with the API right away. So for example, the link that you see here with a gear next to it, I can click that, and it will make the requests we see on the screen live against the API and return the results so I can take a look at the output. Very cool. So, how powerful is this? Socrata API Foundry was developed by, well, our engineers. Our engineering team not only has years of developer feedback, but they are also first-class users of our API. They synthesized everything they know about APIs and created an API that developers will love. They have made it powerful, fully expressive, and at the same time very accessible to the vast majority of developers out there. Here's how they did it. So, imagine we want to do rich queries. Let's say I wanted to figure out which manufacturers had the most recalls in this dataset. How do I do that? Can I use a familiar query language, like SQL perhaps? Yes. We call it SOCL, or the Socrata Query Language. Think of it as SQL for the web. And with SOCL, I, as a developer, can do very powerful, fully expressive queries using a very familiar query language. As a simple example, let's get the brand name and the number of times that brand appears in the recalls dataset and do a group by brand name and get back those counts. This look familiar? That's SQL for the web. How cool is that? The response I get back from the API includes the brand name and a count of how many times it appears in the dataset. Exactly what I wanted, exactly what I expected, using a query language that I'm familiar with. That's a developer-ready API. There is a ton of very useful additions to the SOCL query language that developers will love for even deeper analysis, like location-based queries and a lot of really awesome functions. So there you have it, folks. That's how Socrata API Foundry just completely changed the speed, the economics, and the ease with which developer-ready APIs can be created, customized, and deployed. We would love to talk with you about your APIs, your digital strategy, and how you're going about building your data ecosystem. Thanks for watching API Foundry in action.